Once again, welcome back to economic class. Dear cadet, very good morning to one and all. First, chapter number 2, sectors of the Indian economy. Topic number 3, primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. First of all, having the quick recapitulation what we have studied in the presentation number 1 and presentation number 2. So in the presentation number 1, we had seen the introduction of the chapter. That means the topic was that the three sectors of the Indian economy. So the three sectors were primary, secondary, tertiary. After that, we had seen the details of primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary. Why primary sector is called as an agriculture sector, why secondary sector is called as a manufacturing sector, why tertiary sector is also known as with the name as service sector. So moving further to see the topic number 2. So in the topic number 2, we covered the topic of comparison between the three sectors. That means comparing the three sectors of the Indian economy. Now we are going to see the topic number 3. In the topic number 3, primary, secondary and the tertiary sector in India with the graph and facts and figure we are going to see about that. First, graph number 1 shows the production of the goods and services in the three sectors. So let's quickly see the graph number 1. So graph number 1 is speaking the GDP by primary sector, secondary and tertiary sector. So in rupees, that is in crores. So you can have the colors, the blue colors indicating the primary, right? This pinkish color is talking about the secondary and the greenish color is talking about the tertiary. From 1973 to 74, then the another year data is 2013 to 14. When we are observing this graph, what we are observing here, first I request all the cadets, please observe the graph very carefully. After that, this point is written here. See it and we will have an explanation on that. So this is shown for the years 1973, 74 and 2013 to 14. We have used the data for these 2 years because the data are comparable and authentic. You can see how the total production has grown over the 40 years. So dear cadet, please observe as you are observing here, right? And as you are observing here. So both the graphs are different from each other. So the data is speaking to you altogether the 40 years. I hope so. You all had seen the graph properly. Now quickly moving toward the question answers on this base. So graph number 1, GDP by primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Let's see. So the graph by primary, secondary and tertiary sector, all of you have seen. Now quickly see, let's work these out. So here we are having the answer the following question by looking at the graph. So as you all had seen the graph, now in this slide also you are observing the graph. After that, which was the largest producing sector in 1973 to 74? Largest producing sector. After that, which is the largest producing sector in 2013 to 14? Next, can you say which sector has grown the most over the 40 years? By seeing this graph, you have to answer this. What was the GDP of India in 2013 and 14? In our previous classes only, already I discussed about what is the meaning of GDP, how to calculate the GDP and so on. GDP, the total value of the total final value of all the goods and services produced from all the three sectors in a particular year is going to be called as GDP. The sum, that means the addition of all the products and their final values, when they are going to be added from the three sectors, that is going to be known as GDP, gross domestic product. This is your homework. You have to write the answer of question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, right? In examination also, you can have the graph like this, and you can have 1 marks question on this basis like that. Next, what does the comparison between 1973 to 74, 2013 to 14 shows? What conclusion can we draw from the comparison? Let's find out. So now we are going to see the question as well as its answer in detail. First, rising importance of the tertiary sector in the production. Over the 40 years between the 1973 to 74 and 2013 to 14, while production in all the three sectors has increased, it has increased the most in tertiary sector. So as you were observing here in this slide, again for your information, first I decided not to explain this graph because you already know how to evaluate the graph, but still for your information, you can see here, now you can see here, right? Only I am highlighting the points. So this green part is for the tertiary one, right? As a result, in the year 2013-14, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. So first, the comparison between 1973 to 4 and 2013 to 14 speaks about the tertiary sector has become the important in India. So first, why is the tertiary sector becoming so important in India? There could be several reasons. So let's discuss 4 reasons for here first. First, in any country, several such services such as hospital, education institutes, post and telegraph services, police station, courts, village administrative officer, municipal corporation, defense, transport, bank, insurance companies, etc. are required. And these can be considered as a basic service in a developing country. The government has to take responsibility for the provision of these activities. So dear cadet, this particular slide is talking about all the services from the tertiary sector, and the developing country is also needing that. Second, the development of the agriculture as well as the industry lead to the development of the services such as the transport, trade, storage and like. As we have already seen, greater the development of the primary and the secondary sector, most important thing we are observing here, the tertiary sector is supporting to the primary as well as the secondary sector. If we are moving ahead, we are going to see about the more would be the demand of such services. The second point is finished here. Now we are moving to see the third point. Third, as income level rise, the certain section of the people start demanding many more services like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospital, private school, professional training, etc. Can you see the change quite sharply in the city, especially in the big cities? So dear cadet, by reading this, there is no need to have a much more explanation on this topic because we are residing in a big cities and we are knowing about the modern facilities, how the tertiary sector is giving to us. Fourth, over the past decades, so certain new services such as those based on information and communication technology have become the important and very essential. The production of these services can be rapidly increasing and increasing. So in the chapter number 4, we shall see the example of these new services and the reason for their expansion. Next, after seeing this 4 point, we are moving ahead. However, you must have remember that not all the services sector is growing equally. So, service sector in India employs many different kinds of people. At one end, there is a limit number of the services that employed highly skilled and educated workers. At the other end, there is a very large number of the workers engaged in the service such as the small shopkeepers, repair persons, transport person, etc. So the first paragraph is talking about the services of the people, in that the skilled and unskilled one. These people barely manage to earn a living, and yet they perform these services because no alternative opportunity for the work are available to them. Hence, only a part of this sector is growing in importance. You shall read more this in the next section. Dear cadet, moving ahead. So now we are going to have the look on graph number 2. Where are the most of the people employed? Graph number 2 present the percentage share of the three sectors in GDP. Now you can directly see the changing importance of the sectors over the 40 years. Now dear cadet, please observe the graph number 2. So the graph number 2, share of the sectors in GDP. Okay, the blue color is talking for the primary, pink one secondary, and the green one tertiary. From 1973 to 74 and 2013 to 14. Again the data is speaking in favor for the tertiary sector. Next, a remarkable fact about India is that while there has a change in the share of the three sectors in the GDP, a similar shift has not taken place in the employment. Now graph 3 shows the share of employment in the three sectors in, that means in 1977 to 78 and 2017 to 18. The primary sector continues to be the largest employer even now. See the graph number 3. Okay, this is the share of sectors in employment. When we are talking about for the employment, so the primary sector is giving the more employment to the people. I hope so it is clear to all the people. This graph is talking about the share of sectors in employment percentage wise. So in 1977 to 78, 71% of the employment share from the primary one. Now also if we are going to see in the recent data of 2017 and 18, so the percentage of the primary one is the 44. Next, I request all the cadets to observe all the graph properly and see what the changes are happening in the three level, as our topic of discussion is about the primary, secondary and the tertiary sectors of the Indian economy. Next, why didn't a similar shift out of primary sector happens in case of employment? It is because not enough jobs were created in the secondary as well as in the tertiary sector, even though the industrial output or the production of the goods went up by more than 9 times during the period. Here we are talking about the employment. Employment in the industry went up by around 3 times. The same applied to the tertiary sector as well, while production in the service sector rose by 14 times. Employment in the service sector rose around the 5 times. By seeing this graph, you can understand very clearly If you are having the textbook, please go through it in a detailed one. Next, as a result, more than a half of the workers in countries are working in a primary sector, mainly in agriculture, producing only about 1/6 of the GDP. In contrast to this, secondary and tertiary sector produce the rest of the produce, whereas they employ less, about the half of the people. So does this means that the workers in agriculture are not producing as much they could? What it means that there are more people in agriculture than is necessary. So soon we are going to talk and discuss about the unemployment topic. As we had seen in our previous classes only in 9th standard, discuss unemployment. So even you move a few people out, production will not be affected. So in other words, workers in the agriculture sector are underemployed. The topic of underemployment is here. Next, for instance, take the case of a small farmer, Lakshmi. So in the textbook, the photograph of Lakshmi is available. Those who are having, they can see it. Those who are not having, please download the e-book from NCERT website and have a look on that. Lakshmi, owning about the 2 hectares of unirrigated land, depend only on rain and the growing crops like jawar and arhar. All 5 members of her family works in a plot throughout the year. Why? They have nowhere else to go for work. You will see that everyone is working. None remains idle. But in actual fact, their labor effort gets divided. Each one is doing some work, but no one is fully employed. This is the situation of underemployment, as we had seen earlier, where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. This kind of underemployment is a hidden in the contract to someone who does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. Hence, it is also known as disguised unemployment. So in our 9th standard only, we had talked and discussed about this type of employment. So this disguised unemployment is clear to you. Next, now supposing a landlord, Sukram, comes and hire 1 or 2 members of the family to work on his land. Lakshmi's family is now able to earn some extra income through wages. Since you do not need 5 people to look after the small plot, 2 people moving out and does not affect the production on their farm. In the above example, 2 people may move to the work in a factory. Once again, the earning of the family would increase and they would also continue to produce as much from their farm. So by this example, it is clear to you there are lakhs of farmers like Lakshmi in India. This means that even if we remove a lot of people from the agriculture sector and provide them with the proper work elsewhere, agriculture production will not be suffered. The income of the people who take up other work would increase and the total family income. This underemployment can also happen in other sector also. For example, there are the thousands of the casual workers in service sector in urban areas who search for daily employment. They are employed as a painter, plumber, repair person and other doing odd jobs. Many of them don't find work every day. So, similarly, we see the other people of the service sector on the street, pushing a cart, selling something where they may spend a whole day but earn very little. They are doing this work because they don't have better opportunity. Next, let's work these out. This is your homework. please go through it, and after doing it, please let me know about it. Lastly, I want to thank to each and everyone. Jai Hind to one and all.